Welcome back to another MOTOBOB video. You join us today at EICMA in Milan for the world's biggest and best motorcycle show, and we're super excited to be here. Now we're on the Honda stand for a very exciting announcement. This is the brand new CB1000 Hornet. I've been really looking forward to seeing this one, so here we go with the 11 key things that you need to know about it. Now the number one big change that you'll notice here is that they've moved away from that neo sports cafe kind of aesthetic that you found on the previous generation CB1000R, and it's much more in line with what we've seen on the CB750 Hornet that was announced last year. So a lot more angular, modern. They've swapped out that round headlight for something that's a bit more pointed and in line, I would say, with the Hornet name. And personally, I think it looks really, really good. I think it's a great new direction, very different to the previous gen, and I like it a lot. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Now, number two is the engine. It's got quite a lot in common with the previous gen. It's still an inline 4, 1000cc, but this one is more closely related, they say, to the 2017 Fireblade engine. So you're getting slightly different power output here. It's about 4 Newton meters down on peak torque, but you do get a little more top-end power. So I think it's up to 147 horsepower, up from like 143 on the CB1000R. Still not sort of super naked territory. If you look at something like the KTM Super Duke or the, Ducati Street Fighter, they're quite a lot above this bike, but I do think they're going to be hitting a much more aggressive price point. Still getting a slip assist clutch. You've still got the 4-into-2-into-1 exhaust system, and that's one of the things I really like about the current CB1000R is the sound. So I'm looking forward to finding out what this one sounds like as well. Onto the frame, and we've got a new twin spar steel frame and also a steel trellis subframe. Now they haven't released the full specs yet, so we don't know if there are big changes to the geometry versus the CB1000R. We'll have to wait to find out in a month or two, but visually I think it looks really nice, especially the little bit of steel trellis subframe that's on show there. Now look, as for the rest of the chassis spec, well, it's not super premium top-notch stuff. Like I say, I think they're going to be looking to make this bike reasonably affordable versus those proper premium super nakeds, but it still looks pretty decent. So you've got a Showa 41mm separate function, big piston fork at the front. That's adjustable with compression and rebound damping, and then you've got a Showa shock at the rear as well with a Pro Link. Then as for the braking, it looks pretty familiar from the CB1000R. So you've got radially mounted 4-piston Nissin calipers on big 310mm discs. Like I say, not the top-notch stuff, but in my experience of riding that previous gen bike, plenty of stopping power. Now tires on this one are from Dunlop. It's a 120/70 at the front, 180/55 at the rear, so pretty standard stuff for a big naked bike like this. And of course, 17 inches front and rear. Now before we get on to the next one, I just want to say a massive thanks to our two sponsors for this trip, Insta360 and Metzeler tires. Specifically, Insta360, we use their X3 camera, which is absolutely awesome. I've been using it a little bit at the show, as you can see, to gather some really wide angles. But also, this is the camera we use back home to capture all of our riding footage, and it really is a game changer in terms of workflow. 360 cameras, you can just mount them anywhere on the bike, and then you pull the footage afterwards into their app or their desktop software, and you can reframe it and keyframe it and move it around to get the exact angle you want. So it's a super easy way to shoot motorcycle rides. It's also fun and creative, and you can export landscape shots for videos like this, or portrait for social media like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And so yeah, it can be very, very creative as well. Probably the most fun way that you can make motorcycle videos. So do check out the link down in the description to get yours. Also, you'll find down there a code where you'll get a free gift with every X3 purchase. And a massive thanks once again to Insta360 for their support. As for the dash, well, we've got a 5-inch full color TFT display here. I do quite like the design of this. Sometimes Honda can be a little bit sterile with stuff like the Africa Twin. It doesn't look as emotive as you might like, but this is slightly more familiar sports bike stuff, a nice big rev counter across the top, so I think it looks quite decent, and it does contain some smartphone connectivity features if you like that sort of thing, so controlling phone calls and music through the switchgear and dash if you pair it with a Bluetooth headset. As for the rider aids and stuff like that, well, like I say, they haven't released the full details yet, but I do believe it's got a ride-by-wire throttle, of course, so that leads to 3 different riding modes, and also you've got their Honda selectable torque control, so that's HSTC, which is basically their traction control. Sometimes the switchgear configuration can be a little bit complicated on some of the Hondas, but it looks like they've put some work into this one in terms of simplifying it with a little joystick on the left-hand switchgear to make it easier to navigate some of those features. And so I'm definitely looking forward to testing this one out on the road and finding out if it's a little bit more usable. As for the lighting on this bike, well, you've got LEDs all round, of course. You've got a nice daytime running light at the front. I don't know about you, but on this particular red bike, bike, I am getting Ducati Street Fighter V4 vibes, a little bit anyway. And then of course you've got the indicators at the front that are always on as position lights to improve your visibility for other road users, so that means it's slightly more safe, I guess. And also, I assume it'll get their emergency stop signal feature, ESS, which basically means under heavy braking or heavy deceleration that the rear indicators will flash, and that's to try and help avoid a rear end shunt, which obviously is something you want to minimize the chances of. Now, there'll be 3 colors for this bike. This one is called Grand Prix Red, which I think looks really quite, punchy. I do like this one a lot. We've also got the Pearl Glare White on the stand here, so nice and clean looking. And there'll also be a third option, which is called Matte Iridium Grey. I don't think they've got it on the stand, but we've got some pictures that we can put on the screen now. Out of the 3, I think I'd have to go for the red personally. That one really does look good, very sporty, and of course, that red is a Honda color, but let me know your pick down in the comments below. As for the price, well, it hasn't been announced yet, but think about the CB750 Hornet that launched at £6,999. Extremely good value. That same engine was used in the Transalp, which was also pretty punchy on price, and so I don't think this one is going to be super expensive. Like I say, it's not a competitor for the KTMs and Ducatis and MV Agustas. This one's going to be right in that sub 15 grand area, I think. Personally, I think it looks absolutely banging, but as always, let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. If you want to see all of our EICMA coverage as well, we're going to make a playlist that I'll put on the screen now. We're here all week, so there's going to be loads of bikes on that playlist. Do hit subscribe also if you've not already to see those videos as soon as they go live. Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, which is coming very soon.